Hey, welcome to BSB TV. Today, I am really excited to have Tanya Williams with me. Tanya, how are you today?
I am fantastic, Kevin. How are you?
I'm excellent, but that's okay. I'll get better. So I'm really excited because marketing is at the heart of growing your business. You can't grow your business without clients. And we can argue about 600 other things that we need to fix. But if we don't market, then our business is sure to die.
Yeah, pretty much.
So having that in mind, you've got a 7 simple steps blueprint that you run by, I hear.
I certainly do, yeah.
So tell us, before we get into that, tell us just a little bit about your background and how you got to this point.
Yeah.
And here's where we've gone blank again. Let's try that again. So tell us how you got here.
For about, you've gone blank. For about 25 plus years, which I, don't like saying because it makes me sound old, but I was in traditional marketing for many years. I moved into sales and media for a while. I've worked in lots of different industries and spaces, but always had this love for marketing. And then probably about 15 years ago, I moved into the digital space and started playing around with digital marketing and e-commerce and all that sort of stuff. So I've pretty much been there, done that in most things when it comes to the world of digital.
Fantastic, fantastic. Now, with your 7 simple steps, how did you come about this formula? How did you work out that, hey, we need to break this down so that everyone can understand those?
Well, I think the thing with marketing is it tends to be, or people tend to overcomplicate it. And they want to go off on tangents and they want to bring things in that they just really don't need. And going and trying to get your website right to start with before we start going and playing in these other areas. So it was just a matter of seeing the same things over and over with clients that I was dealing with, going, okay, everyone's having the same issues here. So that's where I created this 7-step blueprint, so to speak. And that's what I use with my clients to build a marketing foundation that gets consistent marketing for people who are busy, because we're all busy. So it's about trying to just make it as simple as possible. Let's not overcomplicate it. Let's focus where we need to, rather than following the bright and shiny and getting lost going down a rabbit hole somewhere where we shouldn't be playing. And at the end of the day, everything comes back to your target market as well. And people forget that. They go, but I want to do this. And it's just like, it's not about you. It's about your audience.
I know, and that sometimes that's the hardest thing, to actually go, hey, it's not about me, because that's the easy thing for us to focus on is, hey, what do I need, rather than what do clients need and prospects need.
Yeah.
So your 7 steps, let's just do a quick run through, and then I want to just touch on the critical ones that you feel. So what are the 7 steps?
Okay, so the first one is to have a strategy or a plan, because too often people go, oh, it's in my head, and you go, well, that's great. How do you share that with your team? How are you going to stay focused if you don't actually have a written plan? So again, it doesn't have to be an 80-page document. It can be something that's a few pages that just talks about where you are now, where you want to get to, and how you're going to get there. And so it just, again, it needs, just keep it simple. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated. Then once we know that, then we can identify who our audience or audiences are. Now, a lot of the time people go, oh, I deal with everybody. Well, you can't really. You've got to try and work out who your primary audience is, your secondary audience, and so forth, because the conversation that you're having with one is going to be very different that you're having the conversation with someone else. So I work with a lot of recruiters. So the way you talk to clients and the way you talk to candidates is very, very different. So they need to be clearly separated, and we need to know who they are, but we need to dive deeper into it as well. So we can't just say, oh, my market is men 25 to 54. That's no longer relevant. We have to get really niche and say, well, my market is men 25 to 44 that, had a uni degree, that earn $100,000, that drive a nice car, that are married with 2 kids, that are, and really dive deeper into it to get a real, a good understanding of who we're actually talking to as an ideal client.
Cool.
Then from there, we need to look at what channels we need to play on.
Yep.
Where is our audience? So we might go, hey, we want to be on all these social media channels, and we want to do video, and we're going to do podcasts and all this sort of stuff. But again, it comes back to your audience. Where are they? If they're not on Instagram, You don't need to be on Instagram. If they're not on Facebook, you don't need to be on Facebook as a business entity. So it's about going, well, where is it that they are playing? And that's where you need to play as well. So focus on 1, 2, 3, maybe. Stop trying to do too many channels and do them badly. Just try and choose 1 or 2 and go deeper on those channels rather than spreading yourself thin.
Cool.
The next one is, I suppose, around expertise. So how do you showcase your expertise out to the world? And a lot of time you have to prove that to people. You have to say, well, I know what I'm talking about. So you have to be doing things like writing blogs and maybe creating video content and sharing posts and whether it's speaking, writing books, there's lots of different things we can do in that space, but it's about not being afraid to put yourself out there and say, hey, I know a little bit about that topic, I can help you. And I think a lot of people can shy away from that because they don't want to be in the limelight necessarily. A problem, I don't have that problem, by the way, if you can tell. But, you've got to sort of, show people that you know your stuff.
Yep.
And once we've done that, we obviously then want to send traffic to our website. So we're so focused these days on social media. We don't own our social media channels. We rent them. So we don't want to put all of our time and energy just into social media. We want to focus on the channels that we own and control. And the main one of those is your website. So getting your website right, and then once you've done that, sending traffic to it. So you've got free and paid traffic, of course. So, we can be spending money on ads or we can doing it organically. Then we also want to look at how we automate. So that's our next step. So how can we set all this stuff up so it runs automatically? So as a busy business owner, I don't have to be jumping in and sending an email every week or jumping in and out of social media, posting stuff. I can just set it all up and it all runs seamlessly. So there's free tools that you can do that with. So it's not hard to do. It takes a little bit to set up, but once you set up, you're done. And then the other thing, the final step is to look at our data. Now, I'm not a numbers girl. I hate numbers and I hate the B word, which I call budget. But the numbers are really important because they will tell us what our audience likes, what they don't like, what platforms, they're on, where they're not stopping watching videos. Like, who are they to start with? Because often we get an idea of who they are and then we look at the data and go, oh, hang on, that's not thought was watching.
Fantastic. So it really is important to actually sorry about that. So it really is important to actually understand, hey, am I getting the results? So to keep analyzing that and go, hey, is what I'm doing getting the results that I'm desiring, so that you can actually work out, hey, what you need more of, what you need less of, what do you need to start, what do you need to stop.
Exactly. That's exactly why. And people just dump straight into content and go, let's create all this fab content because that's the fun stuff. But they're not looking at the numbers and the data to go, well, hang on, what should I be creating first so I'm not wasting my time? Because I can tell that by what my audience is liking and what they're not liking.
Yeah, and some people are just natural creators, and so they will find comfort in going into creating new content consistently.
Yep.
Without actually letting a particular theme sit for long enough to actually drive the benefits from that.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly right.
So where do you find that people struggle the most? What areas?
It's hard to just identify a couple, but I think that probably the two most common ones would be channels, like knowing what channels where to play on. So I think typically go, well, my competitors are doing this, so I'm just going to do the same as them. So I'm going to be on Facebook, I'm going to be on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Then I go, then I'm going to do email marketing, and I'm going to do some video marketing. Then someone suggested I should do a podcast, so I'm going to get on and do a podcast. So then they get overwhelmed with all this stuff that they need to do, and they just can't sustain it all, and they're not effective with it. So instead of trying to do everything that your competitors are doing or what everyone tells you, you need to really sit back and look at who your audience is and where they are playing. So if I go, okay, well, my audience is on LinkedIn, so I should be spending the majority of my time on LinkedIn. And then I might do a little bit on Facebook. So it's about having a primary channel that you want to communicate on, and maybe then a secondary channel, and you might have something else that you play in as well. And it's not just about social media as well. I mean, your business might not even be highly relevant on social media. Your audience might be, watching videos or, or prefer to read emails from you. So really identifying that and taking the time to identify that to create your client personas is something that most people miss. So that's probably the first one. And the other one is probably around expertise. I find a lot of people that I speak to go, oh, but I don't want to be in front of a video camera. And you can go, but you can create video without being in front of a video camera. There's lots of different ways to do that. You can show your expertise by, even if you're not great at writing, you can still create content by doing little checklists or,
You're just a little bit jumpy
not everyone
there.
likes to write.
So Nathan Morrison's actually asked, hey, is it possible to communicate cross channels and to keep track of it? But before we answer that, I want to talk about, I'm a bit shocked that you've gone channels and expertise. I can kind of see what you like. And when it comes to expertise, my advice is embrace your inner American, right? So in America, everything is the biggest and the best that you've ever seen, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only Australian example I can think of is this little cafe that's halfway between here and Sydney, and he's on the he's just on the wrong side of the highway and beautiful ocean on the other side. But he's got I think it's Freddo's world famous pies or something like that. He's got a crocodile on the thing. What the crocodile has to do, we've got no idea. He's world famous. I'm like, none of us have ever heard of him, and. Let's all embrace our inner American and let's be proud of what we do and what we do awesomely. Sorry, you've just cracked you up and you've stopped there.
And we should be shouting what we do from the rooftops and saying, well, this is what I do and I do it well,
Absolutely. So keeping track of all this data obviously has to be time consuming and challenging. How do we know what's working and what we should do more?
Yeah, look, I mean, there's certainly tools that you can subscribe to and pay for to help track that, but I'm about keeping it simple. So one of the simplest things that I say to clients is a simple Excel spreadsheet with the things that you're measuring. So whether it's traffic to your website, whether it's the likes that you're getting on Facebook, list the key ones that align with your objectives, because there's no point in measuring everything because everything's not going to be relevant. So you just want to look at the stuff that aligns with the objectives that you're trying to achieve. Put it into an Excel spreadsheet every week. So look at the numbers, because I could get onto Facebook and go, I don't remember how many likes I had last week, and it's a vanity metrics anyway. But if I've got it in a spreadsheet, I can literally go back and go, last week we had 20,000 visitors. This week we've got 22,000 visitors. So you can start to see it in one snapshot really quickly and easily, rather than trying to jump in and out going, I can't remember what it was. So again, a simple spreadsheet, it doesn't need to look beautiful. It doesn't need to be fancy, but it's designed to help you track your numbers, and that's all it needs to be.
Fantastic. And that actually gives me something else I need to measure. Sorry about that. Sorry, Christy. So I want to thank you for your time today. It's been absolutely amazing. I'm sure that you've probably got this in a little bit more detail in a download somewhere.
I do. I have a PDF that people can download for that on my website, so I can share the link with you. But I'm also about to launch a Simple Marketing for Busy Business Owners online program. So for people who don't have the budget for someone to do it for them but want to learn it step by step, we're launching at the end of the month, but there's a pre-launch deal happening at the moment. So I'm happy to share all that out with anyone that might be interested in that.
Oh, look, and we'll have a chat about our 12-week Reboot Your Business program so that we can get you involved in that, because I've really enjoyed today. Thank you very much for giving us your time and sharing your expertise. Really honoured to have you on the show.
My absolute pleasure. Thanks for asking me.
That's okay.